My name is Luke Stokes. I'm the Managing Director for the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability, making crypto easier for everyone. I got into the blockchain space pretty early on, actually. I was looking at it in like 2011, 2012, let's fake internet money is never gonna work. And then I saw Anonymous had it on their Twitter handle. And I was like, these guys aren't stupid. They're a little out there, but they're not stupid. So I really started looking into it in 2013. I bought my first Bitcoin in January. I spent $50 and I got 2.5 Bitcoin. I had a background in the whole payment space with a company I'd helped build. And so I was really interested in money and how money works. And so it just went down the rabbit hole from there. One of the things that excites me most about the blockchain space is I look at it as essentially a tool for global nonviolent consensus. It's a tool for truth. Like in a place where we have all these deep fakes and no one knows what the heck's going on, we have a mechanism that we've never had as a species before to say, what is true? And how can I know that people on the other side of the world agree with me? And I didn't even have to threaten them with any violence or anything. So a lot of people don't really think about it that way, but that's personally what I get excited about. Freedom, the ability to own and control your own store of value, the ability to take back what's basically being stolen from you through inflation and of course taxation as well. And so I'm really excited about it as a tool for not only myself, but my children and my community to be able to control their own destiny, to be able to say, what do I want to do with the hard work that I do away from my family, away from my kids, working a job, and getting little pieces of paper? What does that even mean? I mean, the blockchain and cryptocurrency space gets people to ask, what is money? And they start to realize it's just shared storytelling. And this is the best story that's ever been told because it's the best form of money. It's the best ledger, the best mechanism of keeping track of credits and debits that's ever been invented. So I'm just excited about the potential to reshape really society through a mechanism where we get to control our own value, control our own time, control our own energy even, and how we move it around and interact with each other socially without threats of violence. So I'm really excited about that. I found this project that was making crypto easier to use, and it's doing that through three main features. Wallet handles, we call it a FIO wallet handle. It's a human readable address, such as Luke @Stokes. That's my crypto address for anything. Any crypto you want to send to me that I've chosen to map to that address, you can. And you can know it's directly going to me, a human being, not just a QR code or this long crazy string of characters. In addition, you can do decentralized payment requests, which we don't have in the blockchain space, but it's standard in the normal financial industry. You don't just have money show up in your bank account for no reason. You're like, what was that for? It's always an order or an invoice, and there's some reason someone's going to send you money. You request it from someone for some good or service you provided. FIO has that in a decentralized, self-sovereign way. It's encrypted between the two parties participating, and you can also, the third feature, put in a memo. You can link out to some data. You can put a message in there. What is this transaction about? So in essence, it makes using cryptocurrency as easy as the centralized solutions people are used to today, whether that's like PayPal or Venmo, your banking app. You can interact with someone, know that it's them, have full trust and confidence in that. You can have a secure private information about that, so you can look at your records later in the future. And you don't sacrifice what I call your blockchain rights, your self-sovereign identity to control your value. A lot of these centralized systems, unfortunately, they're kind of like getting away from that a little bit. And they're saying, no, it's okay. Trust us with your private keys. And it's like, no. This has to be decentralized. Rule number one, not your keys, not your coins. So we have to be able to make it easy and help, at the same time, help people level up to understand it without sacrificing the core principles of why this all matters in the beginning. One of the biggest hurdles I see in mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain is definitely the usability. And there's an analogy we can use. There's this concept called the law of diffusion of innovation of technology. We have these network effect technologies, and we can see this with the internet, for example. These doublings of onboarding, doublings and doublings for like 10 years. There's these doublings of people getting into it, but there's still just not a lot of traction. It's still confusing and frustrating. You still have like people having their secretaries print out their emails because it's too complicated to figure out this whole email thing. But then you have these protocols that come out, like the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. That's the thing you type in your browser window. And that allowed for the World Wide Web and the web browser and all these new technology tools. It was a user interface that people could understand to connect to the internet. And that's where we see the mass adoption of the internet goes parabolic and skyrocket. And there's a lot of people that have been studying this and studying the adoption of Bitcoin as an example. And the Bitcoin is following the same doublings. There's more and more people every year doubling into Bitcoin, but we don't have a usability protocol, not just for Bitcoin, but for all of cryptocurrency. And so we feel that we could potentially be that same thing. And if you look at that doubling timeline, we're a usability layer that's coming in that works with every blockchain, every token. It's not a wallet, it integrates with wallets. It's interoperable between wallets and exchanges. And when you look at the kind of where we are with the internet, it was about 7 years or so, 7.5 years to go from where we are to its first billion users of the internet. And there's many who argue we're basically in that same situation, but the curve is even tighter. It's probably going to be more like 4 years, maybe 3 to 5 years from where we are today to 1 billion users. So most people are like, that's insane. How could that possibly happen? So we don't have structures in our brain to recognize exponential growth. It catches us off guard every time. But we can look at it and say, this happens again and again and again. And those who are smart, paying attention, you can learn about this and be ready for it. This conference has been incredible. This Bitcoin conference, I was just telling you earlier, walking through a sea of people, just face after face, and I'm seeing all these incredible human beings that are realizing what this all is. And I'm sitting there going, I wasn't wrong. In 2013, I wasn't crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was in this, delusional state of this fake internet money. And we weren't really sure back then. And it was, I remember reading an article by like Rick Falkins, for example, and he's like, the target price of Bitcoin is not $50 to $100, and that was when it was $40 a Bitcoin. He said the target price is 100,000 to $1 million. And at the time, people were like, what? That's not even possible. But now we're sitting here with close to 15,000 people. It's standing room only. There's people waiting around the building to get inside. There's major CEOs of large companies. There's validation here. And that's what I'm feeling mostly, like the culture of validation we're seeing in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space, where those who could see what was coming are being rewarded for that risk and that effort to learn about this thing and really understand it at a deep level. Because you have to understand philosophy, you have to understand macroeconomics, you have to understand game theory. There's so many pieces that you have to understand to fully get what this movement is about. And also you have to have a desire for freedom, because that's what drives this community. And the community, again, back to the shared storytelling, is what makes all this value work. Oh man, the culture even from 2017, but all the way back to 2013, the culture has changed so much. I remember starting a Bitcoin meetup in Nashville, Tennessee in 2013. And in the beginning, it was just me and a couple people. I'm like, oh, I'm not alone. There's some other people here. And we slowly started to have about 20, 30, 40, even 50 people show up. It was this amazing excitement as it was kind of the first real rocket run in 2013. But then when it crashed, everyone's like, well, I guess that wasn't real. Let's all go do other things. And then the meetup kind of fizzled out. And it was a questioning of like, is this real? Was I wrong? And I can remember like holding from 1,200 all the way down to 250. And I'm like, man, really wish I would have sold that and paid off my house, but oh well, But it was still this belief of saying, no, this is inevitable. In the end, it's inevitable. And I feel like now the culture is so much different in that we've gone through so many cycles, so many bull runs, so many bear market crashes, back to bull run, back to bear market crash, but there's always higher and higher lows as far as the purchasing power that people believe in this self-sovereign wealth. And so I'm sitting there thinking the culture's radically different in that people are not as scared about standing up for what they believe in, because even if it corrects, as it inevitably will, they know long-term it's inevitable. There's so many amazing things going on in this space. Like the favorites questions are always a challenge for me. Like, who are your favorites? And I think for me, it's the things that I got originally into, and that these may not be the most incredible, sexy projects today, but they're the reason I got excited about what's possible in the blockchain space. Obviously, I just started with Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin conference. It's mostly about Bitcoin. But then when I saw, for example, something like Steam, which is now Hive, a place that you can blog, you can have your own content immutably, unchangeably yours forever. You can't be deplatformed or censored in any way. And I love that those technologies are existing. I can remember when my wife started blogging, she got paid in cryptocurrency, she converted it to Bitcoin, she got a gift card, and she bought like a camera lens, and it was real for her. So I'm excited about the projects in the space that are making crypto easier, they're making it more accessible, they're making it possible for people to interact with it in a way and make it real for them. So Hive is a great example. I've been part of that community for more than 5 years. I got excited about the BitShares community because it was DeFi before DeFi was cool. You could take your cryptocurrency, lock it into a contract, and basically short the US dollar with BitUSD. So those are the things that got me excited about it originally. Today, I'm excited about all projects doing interoperability. I'm excited about the NFT marketplace. We're providing mechanisms where you can sign your NFTs, because there's a lot of NFT forgery and things like that going on, and there's a lot of excitement in NFTs. We needed a way to protect the consumers. So I'm excited about interoperability between chains and tokens, these bridging mechanisms where you can take your token and access it on other chains, not just Ethereum, but you can be on Binance Smart Chain. And so I've heard some really great things about Thor Chain and what the Rune is, and I need to get some exposure, not financial advice, but I like these projects I don't even have exposure to because they're doing really cool things utility-wise. They're making the ecosystem more of a meritocracy, so you can move from one to another. And of course, I have to mention any DAC or DAO company, anyone that's building decentralized autonomous communities, consortia, companies. I myself work with a group called EOS DAC, and we were working on building DACs and DAOs in the EOS community. So I really think that this is going to create a new model where people aren't going to just do startups. They're not going to just do companies and corporations. They're going to start thinking about, how can I do a decentralized business model where I'll contribute a bit, but the entire community through their meme warriors can come in and contribute as well. And if we all contribute, we all gain value. And I think decentralized business models with a smart contract technology that can enable them through DACs and DAOs is going to be something that is going to change the world completely. And it's going to eventually reach into local governments and even national governments at some point. We're going to be more voluntary service providers to each other. And we're going to be able to jump in and out of what we want to do instead of this corporate handcuff where you sit there for the next 10 years of your life. You're going to possibly have multiple worker proposals and multiple DACs and DAOs, and you can jump in and add value according to your own schedule. So I'm really excited about, again, tools for human freedom, tools for utility, tools for onboarding and education, anything that helps make crypto easier for people. That's what I'm excited about.
Hi, I'm Micah Winkelspecht, and I'm the CEO and founder of GEM. GEM is one of the oldest companies in crypto. We've actually been around since 2013. So we see these sort of tectonic shifts happening in the industry every couple of years. I would say that this year what sort of marks it as something different is that it's almost a perfect storm or a confluence of influences that are all occurring at the same time. You have massive government inflation, which is causing people around the world to look for an exit valve or an escape valve. You've got general growth of the enthusiasm of Bitcoin over many years. It's built up a strong trust factor. So people are starting to look at it as a real viable alternative. We came to this conference and the line was literally wrapped around the building almost 1.5 times. And this is a very large building. I have never seen a crowd trying to get to a Bitcoin conference like I saw today. I think that is, partly just the general excitement about Bitcoin. I think there's a lot of pent-up demand for experiences around Bitcoin since COVID basically shut everything down. So everybody that I know is here in Miami today. Everybody wanted to be at this conference. I honestly haven't seen this level of enthusiasm in a long time. We've seen pockets of it before, but not on this scale. Generally speaking, not Bitcoiners, when we got started. So when typically you go to a Bitcoin conference and it's all the same people talking about the same things because we've all been around here trying to spread the word since 2013, since 2012. Today, you see guys like Jack Dorsey, who have huge platforms, who are basically saying that, if they could, they would leave Twitter and Square and just focus on Bitcoin. I mean, I haven't seen that kind of rhetoric and language from typical outsiders. You have Michael Saylor, who hasn't even hit his 1-year anniversary yet on being a Bitcoiner, and the way he talks about it so fervently sort of inspires new passion in a lot of us who've been here for a long time. So I think that the level of enthusiasm from outsiders is what's really remarkable now. Look, I got into Bitcoin largely because I was really pissed off, frankly, at the 2009-2010 financial crisis. My parents bought a lot of real estate thinking that everything would go up, and they got really impacted. They nearly lost their retirement savings because of the market crash. And I think when I watched that happen, I didn't really understand why it happened. I realized I didn't understand money at a fundamental level. And so I went down this journey around that time to understand what happened during the financial collapse, why it happened. And once you start to learn about how the Federal Reserve works, how the creation of money works, and how it messes up markets around the world, you have a different perspective. And while I was doing that research and trying to understand money and the history of money, I'm an engineer by trade, so I was also reading Hacker News every day, and I saw this little article about this tiny little currency, this little white paper called Bitcoin, electronic cash for, basically a solution to the inflation problem. And it just sparked curiosity. And like all of us who are here, once you read the white paper, once you start diving in a little bit, you pull on that little thread, and it's almost impossible to escape once you've read that thing, because you just want to keep finding more information, learning more. And it just, now it's been for me almost a decade of being in the cryptocurrency space. And I basically decided, back in 2013 that this was important enough for me to dedicate at least the next decade of my life. And now I realize it's my life's work. And I think a lot of other people are realizing that now too. It's very different now. I mean, so I started up a meetup group just to try to gather like-minded folks to learn and discover Bitcoin back in 2013 in LA. At that time, that group was about 20 people. Within 1 year, it went to, I believe, 1,000 people, and then 2,000 the next year. And we would regularly hold events with Andreas Antonopoulos coming to speak and others. But at that time, we didn't have a lot of material, so it was really like individuals sharing knowledge with each other. Today is very similar too, except that now you have absolutely like loads of content on YouTube, on social media, where you can get tons of information. There's more information out there now about Bitcoin than there ever was, and so it's actually very easy to get started. You just need to pull the thread and see where it leads. I think I got into this space knowing that Bitcoin was the answer to a lot of the world's problems. But to convince yourself of that theoretically and then to convince yourself of that practically are two different things. To actually believe that it will happen and it will happen on the timeline that you set out, like a decade, is actually truly remarkable. I'm always amazed at the level of growth that the industry has seen over the last 10 years. And even though I believe that it was the right thing and that it should happen and it would happen, I don't know if I was really convinced back in 2013 that I'd be at a conference today with 50,000 people trying to get in the door to talk about just Bitcoin. I mean, I think it's a real testament to a lot of the people who fought against the odds to bring this technology to the world. And for a long time, it was not a popular thing to do. Most of us were probably the outsider or the weirdo at the party who wanted to talk about Bitcoin. And today, it's mainstream. It's fully mainstream, and it's. I mean, you guys are launching a news channel around this topic. It's really it's a different world today. I think actually it's bigger than we even expect now. In the same way that in 2010 it was really hard to see how big it would be today. Today, I still think it's very small, because what we're really talking about is the replacement of the monetary standard of the world, and that is a very, very large task in a absolutely enormous market. So, we talk about it today like digital gold. And we talk about, we sort of cap out the capacity of Bitcoin as becoming as big, or if not a little bit bigger than the gold market. But it does have a chance to be even bigger than that and actually replace the monetary standard of the world and the way that we actually use money around the world on a fundamental level. And there is no single bigger market in the world than the market for money, because money is 1/2 of every single transaction in the economy. Whenever you go to the store, you buy a good or you pay for a service. 1/2 is the good or the service, and the other half is the money that you exchange for that good or service. So it literally is the single biggest market in the world. And I think we can all argue about timelines and how long it takes for this market to mature and how long it takes for it to become the monetary standard. But I really don't see any sort of forces that can actually stop it from becoming that over some time horizon. Whether that's 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years, I don't know. But what I do know is that it is one unstoppable force, and I see nothing that can stand in its way that hasn't already tried to shut it down. It is the multi-headed hydra. You can cut one head off, you can cut, one company off, and you can try to regulate it in one country, but it will just shift and move to whatever jurisdiction is welcoming. Miami is a great example. This conference attracted 50,000 people because Miami said, we're going to welcome this with open arms. And so where do the people go? They go where people are welcome. Capital always flows where it's most welcome. And so, rather than having a fear about China banning crypto or the United States over-regulating or over-taxing it, crypto will just find a way around it. It will just find a jurisdiction that is more accepting of it, and capital will flow in that direction. It will not stop it. Gem is, like I said, one of the oldest companies in crypto, and we've gone through every up and every down. We've built multiple products for the industry. We started by building high security multi-sig wallets before that was even a thing for the exchanges. And today we have a product that's just been really taking off. We launched it last June. It was, our volumes were very, very small, and now we're doing tens of millions of dollars a month through the platform and growing, 30 to 40% month over month. So I'm super excited by the growth of that platform. I'm also really excited about the new product that we're going to be launching, which we haven't really talked about. That's Gem Connect. So you can kind of think about this like Plaid for crypto. If you're a software developer, you've probably heard about or used Plaid. If you've ever used Venmo, you've probably been a user of Plaid. It's the tool that allows you to connect your bank accounts to the app. There's no real good Plaid solution for the crypto industry, so we're launching Gem Connect as a way for developers to allow their users to connect all of their crypto accounts at Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, wherever you are. You can connect that to an app. So you can build things like tax software or portfolio trackers. You can create wallets that can trade on multiple exchanges from one single place. So we're really excited about launching that this year, and that should be out within the next quarter. The best piece of advice I would have for any founder out there is to lead with your conviction, even when it's hard, and just keep building, because if you're right in your convictions, the market will come. And this is an 8-year overnight success story.
Hello, I'm Daniel Bland, co-founder of Cirrus Foundation. It's really amazing to see the number of new people come into the space that are just excited to learn more. My company on the commercial side really determined that the way for our business to grow was to put it on the blockchain. So the blockchain technology really brought us to the entire space. So understanding blockchain and what that represents, and the Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the different platforms, it's obviously a very exciting time in the space. Bitcoin, Ethereum, what they're going to do with Ethereum in terms of the gas fees and whatnot, all that has to be figured out. So I think those are two of the major platforms that interest me the most. Skepticism is good. It's always a good thing to be skeptical. But if you are too skeptical and miss out, then that's not good. So yeah, a good healthy dose of skepticism is good, but the markets, are based on discovery and based on people adopting and using the platform, and I don't think that's going away. So is the price right today? Is it right tomorrow? You can't buy it on a daily basis. You have to buy it long term. I don't know what's going to happen the next 6 months, 7 months, year, but the next 10 years, it's going to be here and be stronger than it is today. I think the exponential growth is going to be amazing in the next 10 years. As more and more legitimacy is brought into the space, we now have VC investors, we have institutional investors, we have real depth and breadth to the market. So DeFi is coming along. And I can say this, that 10 years from now, things will be going on that we had no idea were going to happen. So anytime you have a revolution, an evolution, things happen that you can't predict, that you don't know. That's the beautiful part about life. We're heavily involved in big data. Big data will be decentralized. That's going to be democratized. It's going to change the way that it's currently constructed. The oligarchs have done well. That's going to change. The decentralization will happen in big data without a question. I think there's a lot of similarities to the .com era, where things were moving very fast. The velocity of deal flow was unprecedented. So is there going to be an internet bubble? Is it going to crash? There's always crashes, there's always bubbles, there's always bull markets. The thing is that if you got into the internet 20 years ago and you made some mistakes in investing, the reality of it is it's changed everything. The internet's changed our lives. And I think cryptocurrency is going to change, as have as much impact as the internet had when it first came out many years ago. This is a particular crowd. This is the disruptors. This is the people fed up with a lot of societal norms that have now being challenged. DeFi is a great example of that. So I think that when you feel the energy of people in this space that have made the decision to get into this space, all sort of have a collective us against the man or us against the world us against construct mentality, which is pretty exciting, frankly. I'm very excited about what I'm involved in. I'm very excited about our company and how we're going to change the way people look at their data, and we're going to unlock that digital asset for the owner of the data, and that's unprecedented. So I'm very excited to be bringing what we're doing to this platform, and we're just very, very, very thankful, humbled, and can't wait for the next few years to roll out.